Hello, everyone. Hey, Sean, if you could drop down the music a little bit. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Laura Newell with System Surveyor. I'd like to welcome you to our training webinar focused on new user orientation. A few housekeeping items. Please note that we have had a great response to today's webinar, so our participants are placed on mute. But at any time during the session, feel free to use the Q&A icon in the Zoom webinar interface, and we'll address all questions at the end of the session. Also, please note we are recording this webinar, so look for an email from me, usually by the end of the day. So if you missed something or you want to share with a colleague, you will have that recording in your inbox. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Chris Hugman, founder and CEO of System Surveyor.
Thank you, Laura. Thanks so much. And I want to thank everyone here for jumping on the webinar to hear a little bit about System Surveyor, maybe pick up a few tips. Just by way of background, I'm the CEO and co-founder of System Surveyor, so I'm really appreciate you guys being here. I spent 16 years in the system integrator role, and so I know a lot of you are in that same roles, whether sales or design or maybe on the technical operations side. And I understand that a lot of the challenges of that business, of course, every business is a bit different, but it's a tough business. A lot of different technologies, a whole wide variety of customer expectations. And so I get it. It's tough. And we want to try to help make that a little bit better. In my case, I needed to streamline the process. And so because I couldn't find the technology, developed System Surveyor to help solve that need, and found a broader need in the market. And so that's where we are today. And about 4 or 5 years in, and our mission as System Surveyor is to help you as the technology professional deliver on the promise of technology to your customers. And so your customers have an expectations, and we want to make sure that to help you meet that. Whether there are some other folks here, I think, that are more what we call the end user side or the system manager, technology manager side. And you have customers as well. You have those internal customers that you need to support and satisfy. And so we do appreciate you being here, and we want to help you with that. And I'm not sure how you found System Surveyor. Maybe it was a friend or somebody that referred you to us, and which we really appreciate. But what we really want to do now that you're here is deliver an experience to you that you want to go talk about. And we know that we're only going to be successful if we can make our users successful. And it's a core value that we hold here at System Surveyor. We call it mutual success mindset. And that is, whether it's me or Laura or Sean or Paul or anyone else on our team, we want to truly understand the challenges that you're facing and figure out how can we help with that. And it's really a core focus, and we have a great team behind that to deliver that. So with that, I'll just cut my comments off and let you get to the good stuff. Sean does a great job on these webinars. So again, thanks for being with us, and thanks for being part of the System Surveyor community.
Thank you, Chris, for joining us today. And with that, we'll turn it over to my partner in crime today, Sean Petty, who many of you probably know on a first name basis, who is in charge of our customer success. Sean, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine, Laura. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. Hello, everyone. For those who don't know me, my name is Sean Petty. I'm a customer success specialist here at System Surveyor. I know a ton of S's. I get used to it as well. And what I'm going to be going through today, just a little bit of an agenda, is we've covered our welcome, but we're going to go into covering the basics. So what was the original challenge, and what did we step up to the plate with? And we're also going to go into a live platform overview showing you what System Surveyor looks like, not only on the web version, but on the iPad as well. And then we'll go into a Q&A session for those that have any questions to come through. Now, as we get into this, what we were seeing in the industry, and I imagine a lot of you guys can really relate to this picture as either a prior state or something that you've seen before, is we found that 82% roughly of security and IoT system projects were still being designed using paper floor plans and spreadsheets. And not only that, but maybe paper clips and photos that were printed out that were just attached to said paper. The problem with this is it's just not very scalable. It's pretty messy, and it's not something that you really like to present to the customer. It's also very error prone. So as you know, someone looking at this picture, if they said, let's drop a camera here, and someone said, no, I want to drop a camera there, you got to get out the whiteout. And that's not always the most fun thing. What we came to the table with here is a customer engagement software, something that allows you to not only design with yourself, but be able to co-design with your customer to win those jobs. So it's more of a collaborative piece for you to be able to say, oh, great, is this something that you'd like here? Is this something that you'd like there? And being very easily able to make those changes there on the fly. And when you're talking about, getting all of this stuff done, the quicker it is and the more that you get that sign off done, great. You're on to the next process. You're on to the next project. You're on to the next bid. And so that really just doubles your productivity there on your sales front and increases your profit margins. Now, as we get into this, let's get into the live platform overview. And I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. If you bear with me just one moment here. Fantastic. Laura, are you seeing my System Surveyor screen?
Yes, sir. I sure can.
Fantastic. So everybody, this is what the login, or this is what the home screen really of System Surveyor looks like. This is going to be your home page. This is going to show your list of sites. And what I mean by sites, such as my sample site here, these are going to be the projects or locations that you're working on. We've seen people name these after the jobs that they're doing or the brand of building that they're working on. And you can have as many of these here as you'd like. And this is what's called a workbench. So other people can have their own different workbenches, especially as you have different sites within a team. And as you click into a site like my sample site here, within live your surveys. You can have as many surveys here as you'd like, because we understand that not every project has just one floor plan. Some have multiple, whether it's multiple floors of interior floor plans or whether it's several sections of exterior floor plans. You've got those. And this is what we like to call the site overview page. So not only is this going to show you the surveys that live within that site, but it's also going to give you information on what the site is, the information, and who has access to it, who's our contacts, and even our team permissions here. So we're going to start here at the left-hand side of the page. Here at the top, you've got the information on the site. So this is my sample site. It's in this city, Anytown, California. You can add labels and references to it as you have those internal processes. It'll show you who it was created by, when it was created, whether it's active or inactive. But it'll also show you your contacts. So these are people that can be part of the project, whether it's an internal contact that may not have a license with System Surveyor, or it's a contact as the customer for that job. You can have them in your contacts list. And a really cool thing about this, as we talk about the different kinds of contacts and what they can do, with our scale plan and above, you also have the ability to have contacts as editors. We call these guest users. So you can invite people to come in and make edits to the surveys on that site. And we'll get into that a little later in the process as well. We also have our team permissions here, and this is really handy, especially as you have different team members that need to have access to different things on your workbench. You can really get granular on who all in your team has what access and add exceptions for those who need them. So this is a really good way of narrowing down not only who has access to my data, but what are they able to do to it? Are they able to edit it? Are they only able to read it? Now, as we get into looking at the wonderful picture that is the site overview page, we'll talk about creating new surveys. So getting started, even if there's nothing here, I have a few projects here. But let's go ahead and get started on a new one. And doing that is insanely easy. You can do so by clicking New Survey here on the top right of the page. And it's going to take you right through a flow of getting that floor plan imported or starting your survey as needed. And so when you click Start New Survey, it's going to give you 4 different options, first of which is Local Resource. Clicking on this is going to open up the File Explorer on your computer or the Finder app if you're on a Mac. And this is going to allow you to choose the file. We accept PNG, PDF, and JPEG files. So as long as you have those on your computer, you can have those in there. If you have a photo-enabled device, like the laptop I'm working on right now is a photo-enabled device, I can also snap a picture of that floor plan if I have a paper floor plan on my desk, or I'm working with a fire escape plan on the back of a door. You can start that way as well. I can start from a blank canvas using Quick Start, and I can use the annotations tool that I'll be showing to draw boxes, circles, put arrows where you need to so you can draw that plan from scratch if you have none of these options available. And then one of my personal favorites, Google Maps, where it allows you to take an overhead shot, like what you saw in the site overview page where I had my exterior, where you can use the Google Maps API to plot that picture, drag and drop icons onto it, and do everything there. For today's example, I'm going to choose local resource. I'm going to choose something from my computer here, which is my sample floor plan. And when I do that and I choose my file, it's going to take me to a survey preparation screen. This is where I can get all the work started in order to get this survey in. And this is where I can go through and I can name it. It'll have a generic name such as the name of the site, survey, and then a number. But I can name this whatever I would like. So if I'm going to name this, I'm going to name this first floor survey. I can have an address attached to it. I can add a descriptive label, anything I need to here. And I can even, if I have multiple folders on my site, I can choose if it goes into a folder or it just goes to the main site dashboard. And that's one part of this process. The next one is a super important one, and this is cropping and setting your scale. Now, as I click on that option, which is here on the picture, it'll take me to a page to first crop it. Now, this image here is already pretty nicely cropped. I don't need to do a ton of work to it. But if I wanted to crop this even further, let's say you had an image that had a lot of white space, or if you get a PDF of what used to be a CAD drawing and it had a ton of different information on the side that you don't necessarily need to import, you can crop it by dragging and dropping the dots on the edges of the blue box there to crop that to your liking. You can also use the rotate button at the bottom of the screen here to rotate this drawing in any 90-degree angle that you need. That way you have it rotated to your plan. And once I've done cropping it, I'll click the check mark on the top right of the page. And this is going to take me into the scale process. Now, people may ask, Sean, why do I need to scale my drawing? Scaling is super important for things such as area of coverage on a camera, for instance. As you're talking to a customer and I maybe want to drag and drop a camera into this reception area, it may be good for me to know what the distance of coverage is, the depth of that camera to go from the center of this room to the reception area. And this is where you can really set that scale at the very beginning. Or another example, as you're maybe running cable paths or you're trying to do and measure cable runs. This is something that will allow you to be able to tell the system, this is the distance from here to here. And setting that scale is pretty easy as well. I'm going to go ahead and zoom here. And to set the scale, you'll drag the bottom of these red arrows to a set distance that you know. So for instance, I'm going to use this hallway. And I'm going to be pretty rough here. But I can set my distance. And once I have that distance there, I can click set at the top of the page, and then I can tell the system or tell the platform, this is the distance between these two red arrows. So if I know this is the standard 6-foot hallway, I can type 6 in there. Or if I'm working with a project that may have metric measurements, I can choose metric as well. Another thing on this page is the ability to allow you to choose your default element icon size for that drawing. We have attached a note here. Don't worry, this doesn't carry over whenever you start your floor plan, so you don't have to worry about taking this out of your bill of materials. This is just an example element that allows you to say, all right, if I have a project that may be a bit larger of a document and I need my icons to be smaller, I can go through and I can select element icon size to make these as small or as large as I would like. I'm going to pick a happy medium here, and I'm going to click save. Once I've done that, it's going to take me back to this page. If it takes me back here, I know I've done my job right. And I can go ahead and click save again here at the top right of the page to get started on my drawing. It's going to take you straight to the edit screen from here. So it's going to allow you to go through and make any edits. And when I say make any edits, this can be dragging and dropping icons onto the floor plan. This can be changing an attribute on an element. And we'll go over what that means here very quickly. And when I talk about what I can drag and drop onto the floor plan here, you'll see here on the left-hand side of my page, I have these different types, such as video surveillance, access control, all the way down to facility equipment, building management, or healthcare. These are what we call system types. And under each system type, such as video surveillance, live elements. Elements can be things such as fixed cameras, multi-lens cameras, Things like VMS software in VR DVRs for video surveillance, or for access control, it may be things like card readers, panic buttons, ACS controllers, everything else that you need there. And adding one of these to the floor plan, such as maybe I'm starting my job with a fixed camera in that reception area, like I talked about at the very beginning. I can add it to my floor plan by clicking and dragging it onto the floor plan where I need it. Now I'm going to drag it into I'm going to drag it into the corner here, and I'm going to have it face these double doors here at the top. And what you've noticed is as I drag that camera onto the floor plan, I have another window that pops up called area of coverage. I can drag this over as I need. And this is going to show you, an option to be able to move using the arrows on either side of this area of coverage, which is that kind of translucent orange area there. I can use the arrows to make the depth longer. I can use the ones on the sides to make my angle go up and down. And as I change that, you'll notice that it'll change here as well. So it's always recorded. So if I wanted my camera to watch that area, and I'm going to go ahead and click done, I can actually move it where I would like it. And I can always get back to my coverage area and change that as needed. What you'll also see here is another menu called Camera Advisor. Camera Advisor is a really cool built-in tool that we have that tells you based on your angle and your depth of view here and what recognition level you need. So whether it's general surveillance at 20 pixels per foot, detection at 40, recognition at 60, or identification at 80, it'll say based on that angle and depth, what's the minimum required resolution that you should have on that camera. So at a 52-degree angle at a depth of 24 feet, it's recommending I choose at least a 2 megapixel camera. So I can either click done to go drag and drop more elements onto this floor plan, or I can actually click on attributes here from this window as well. And it'll take me right to that window where I can go through and I can start adding my information on there. For instance, what you'll see here is all the information you could ever gather on this camera. You'll have your different tabs such as name here, which will have things like your descriptive label, your room location, even down to the manufacturer, the model number, the price, even your area of coverage angle that goes straight from that coverage menu. But you'll also have tabs like installation that'll have all sorts of information on maybe who's the installing party, or is it interior, exterior? What are the mount surfaces? What's the kind of bracket? Even down to functionality pieces, like what kind of camera is it? Let's get in depth on what kind of camera that is. And you'll also have things such as maintenance, configuration, activity log, and accessories. But what you'll notice here is that some of these fields, like descriptive label, room location, and installation status, these all have blue stars next to them. Now, any field with a blue star next to it means this is a field that can be pre-filled using what's called an element profile. And an element profile is a predetermined set list of catalog, really. So I can use my element profiles for my different kinds of cameras that I have that I can choose and pre-fill that information with. And I can always talk about that. Let's show you what that looks like. So I can choose from element profiles that I have already preloaded into our system. In my team exactly. And we can always go through at the very end how to get those in. But I can go through and I can click on this drop down here and it'll show me my entire catalog of fixed cameras that I have in my system. And I remember going back to that camera advisor and it says, oh, well, I at least need a 2 megapixel camera. I can even use the search feature here to say, well, let's look at only my 2 megapixel cameras. And I can go through and I can choose from the list I have. So for this one, I'm going to go ahead and choose my Hanwha 2 megapixel indoor varifocal. And when I choose that, you'll notice that some of this information has been pre-filled, which is great. Saves a lot of time, especially as you're dropping one camera, adding that information, dropping another camera, adding that information. But you'll see that not only did my manufacturer and model number update, but my price did as well. Under installation, I had some fields that were set, but under functionality, this is the bread and butter where I can have all of this information on what kind of camera it is. Anything that I need to there, that's tracked. And what you'll notice here as well is I had 2 URLs that popped up here at the top of this attributes window. With any element profile, you can have up to 2 URLs that are included here. And a great example for this kind of camera is, let's say I'm walking through with that customer and they're saying, well, what kind of camera is that? Or what does it look like? I can actually attach a URL to that that element, click right on it, and it'll take me to something maybe like a spec sheet to say, this is the exact camera that we're dropping here. This is what we're recommending. These are the specs for it, everything that you need to see here. Or maybe for an installer, this is also great information because you can also treat this as an as-build to say, when you're installing it, here's the network manual. So this is the installation steps everywhere that you need to see in order to get that in. So you can have those documents that are stored there in that attributes window. And this is just looking at the attributes for a camera as instance. Every single element will have their own kind of attributes that are there. Because for instance, for access control, we know that a camera is a lot different than a door on the information that I need to track. And this brings to another point here. When I'm going through and I'm adding my different kinds of information, I can go through and I can drag them on individually, or I can even package them. And this is where I'll get into the difference between elements and element containers. Now, as we're looking at the different kinds of elements here, you'll see such as an example of server or automatic door or card reader or single door. You'll notice that, and I know it may be a little hard to see, so I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here. You'll notice that some of these elements have no borders around them, like server here. And some of them have borders around them, like my single door. Those element icons that have those borders around them are what are called element containers, or these are elements that you can actually drop other elements into as a package. So for instance, let's go through and let's drag a single door. Let's say I'm working on this north hallway here. I can drag a single door where I need to here, and I'm going to go ahead and zoom in. And I have my door here. We all know a door is not always just a door when you're talking about access control. Let's say I want to add to that door a card reader. I can go through and I can drag and drop, and I can actually add that card reader to that door. Maybe an electric lock set to that door. Let's even do an electric strike. I can add it to that door. And it looks like I actually didn't drag that electric lock set on. So there we go. And what you'll see here is now I just have one element icon on my floor plan that's showing me a door. I can expand it to show what's inside of it. You'll also see I've got my element icons pretty small, but you'll see a number there that shows you how many elements live inside of it. But I can also go into that same attributes tab. And now you'll see the information that I have for my doors, such as my name, installation, functional, maintenance, everything that I need to there. But now you'll notice here at the top of the page, I also have different tabs for the different devices that I've drug on. So for instance, my electric lock set, I have information that I can gather here. My electric strike, I have that information. My card reader, I can go through and I can toggle that. And I can see all the information that's there that's readily available. That way you can go through and you can track these kinds of devices that are on these doors without having to clutter your floor plan with all sorts of different element icons. Now, I just did all of that work to create that package there, but I've still got 4 more doors on this hallway. I don't worry about having to really drag everything else on over and over and over again. We also have a duplicate feature. So if I wanted that same door on all of these offices here, I can drag and drop, duplicate, drag and drop, duplicate. And I can go through and I can add as many of these doors as I'd like. And one of the cool things is here, let's go into the attributes of one of these. It still has those same devices attached. So each of these will have an electric lock set, an electric strike, and a card reader. And this is what it really means to make edits on a floor plan on the web version. So once I've done with my work, let's go ahead and let's save this. I've saved it, said well done, success. Now let's look at what the iPad looks like here. And while I switch over there, Laura, were there any pressing questions?
Yes, sir. There was 2. Sean, how do you change the element number when you make a mistake?
So changing the element number, I imagine we're speaking about the ID here that's underneath the element itself.
Yes.
This is absolutely editable. So as you go into the attributes tab, that's going to be the field at the very top here under name. So if you needed to change what this is, we have a default that's set here in the system. So for single doors, it's 1DR-001. For fixed cameras, it's FCAM 00 or 0, whatever number is there that you added it in. If you ever need to edit this, you can go into attributes, make your edits as needed, and then just save that information and it'll update what you have there.
Great, thank you. And then another question, can you layer start out of a DWG CAD file?
So we do not take DWG at this moment. We're working on getting a better import process there. For now, the only file types that we support are PNG, JPEG, and PDF.
Okay, and along those lines, like CAD, can you layer each floor so there's one layer for intrusion, another for fire, another for access, another for video?
That's a great question. So there's not going to be different floor plans that are going to be layered like that, but we do have a layering tool here. And as you see, I have two different kinds of devices on here, such as my video surveillance and my access control. You can actually filter here on this page by system type. And that filtering option is going to be found here at the top of the page. It's going to look like a couple of stacked sticky notes. And as I click on it, it's going to give me my view survey options. And this is where I can go in and I can say, only show me my access control. So I can uncheck everything but my access control. And it'll only show me that. And if I ever wanted to toggle something else on, I can go through and say, all right, show me just my video surveillance as well. Not only do you have this ability to filter on the floor plan itself, but you also have the ability to filter when you run reports that will show at the later part of this presentation.
Okay, great. And there was a question, when I drag one icon over another, they don't combine, a network rack and switch, for example.
So a network rack and switch, you've really got to be careful on what you're dragging onto. So when we're talking about what icons can be drug into, the ones with borders around them are the containers versus those that are not. So if you're trying to drag something into a network switch, I can see why that doesn't work because the network switch is not a container element. You would drag the network switch onto the rack, or as long as it has that border around it, it can act as a container.
Great, perfect. He said, got it, thanks.
Fantastic. All right, anything else there, Laura, before I move on to what the iPad looks like?
Nope, I think it's time to see the iPad.
Fantastic. Let's go ahead and click save here just to make sure any edits that I made are current. And let's go into what the iPad looks like. So what you're looking at here is just my simulated iPad here on my screen. This is going to be a direct correlation of what I'm holding here in my hands. But this is what the System Surveyor app looks like when you log in. So this is going to be your workbench. This is going to be your list of sites here. And it's going to mirror what you have on the web version as well. So the list of sites that you have on your web version is going to mirror what you have on your iPad as well. So as I click into my sample site here, you're going to see all of the different surveys that I have. So you can see that test folder I had, the interior floor plan that I already had marked up, my exterior floor plan. But now what you see is you have one without an icon on it. And what you'll see underneath some of these are what are called statuses. Under my exterior, it shows synced. Under my first floor sample survey, it says download. And this is the first floor survey that I just created. It also says download. The reason that you need to download these floor plans or download these surveys onto your iPad is because the iPad and Android tablets, we also work on Android tablets, allows you to work offline. So you can actually, as I click on download here at the bottom of my first floor survey, you can download that floor plan straight from the web version when you're on internet. So whether it's Wi-Fi or cellular, you can download it onto your iPad and then go completely offline and make your edits. This is great because not every job site has internet. Especially when you're out in more remote areas as you're working, you may not have a cellular enabled tablet, or there just may be no Wi-Fi available. You can work offline and make those changes. So once I've downloaded it, and I'm actually going to download both of these here, you'll see that it'll say synced under my surveys. So it'll show that these are ready to be worked on, especially as I go offline. And so I'm going to click into the one that we just created here. And it'll take me to my survey overview page. As you can see the doors that I created, the camera that I had here. And I can go into edit survey here at the top of the page. Once I hit that, it's going to take me to something very similar to what you saw on the web version, my edit page, where I can see my system types on the left-hand side and the elements that live underneath them, such as another fixed camera or anything else I need to there. But this is where you can also edit what's already here. One of the things I love about the iPad is the availability to make changes very quickly. And then you can also take pictures of them. So for instance, let's drag another camera here into the corner of this office here, right above that door. And just like on the web version, I can go through and I can change my area of coverage. And I can do everything I need to there. But as I go into attributes now, you'll notice that I have a camera option here at the top of the page that I can very easily on my tablet click on, and it'll open up the camera. So I can say, as I'm looking at the corner of that room there, I can snap a picture and I can even annotate it. So if I wanted to, what you're looking at here is just a blank wall. I can add a circle here to say the camera's going to go on this wall here. I can use my pencil icon to say that it's going to be pointing this way. Or I can even add text boxes to say, make sure it's below the light. And I've got that there. And when I click done, that photo is saved to that device. So as I go through and I say, great, I have this camera here. Anyone else who comes in and views this plan now has that example photo, especially as this is maybe a perspective camera, something that isn't already there. It's very easy for someone to, as they go in and install it, have where that needs to go or where it needs to be. You can also do any sort of other pictures here. I love giving the example of doors. So not only do I have the availability to take a camera or take a photo of just the door, but I can also now have multiple photos here. So I can take photos of my electric lock set. I can take a photo of the strike. I can take a photo of the reader. And this also comes in handy if you're taking photos of what's available or what's already there as you're wanting to track what's there as needed. So if I was tracking and this camera was something that was already there, I can go into the attributes and under name, there's an installation status. This is going to be super important. So maybe this is something that's already in place. I can track that. And so now as I have my same filtering tool, I can also filter by installation status. So if I wanted to show somebody, what's in place, which is just one camera versus what's proposed, I can have what's there as needed. So it's a very cool way of layering within the software. So I have this information here, it's ready, it's available. And let's say I've done my work. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to save this. I'm going to back out to my survey overview. I'm going to back out to my site dashboard. And now, I no longer have synced underneath this first floor survey. Don't panic. That just means that you have edits that were made on the iPad that don't quite sync up to what's on the web version. So once I've made my edits to what I downloaded, I now need to upload this. And as I click upload, and I need to upload once I'm on internet. So once I have my Wi-Fi or my cellular enabled available, I can click upload. And what it's asking me is, you've made changes. After you upload this, do you want to keep your edit access or do you want to release it for the next person to come in and do their job? I'm going to keep edit access in this instance. And it's going to go through and it's going to upload it just like that. And it's going to show the changes that I made on the web version as well. So it's always up to date. So whether I'm doing a job here in Texas and Paul is in the office in Chicago, he can see the changes that I made here in Texas with a click of a button. And so now as I go back into my web version here, this refreshes the page. Now you can see that camera that I added on my iPad, and I can even see the photo that I took as well from said iPad. So it's a really cool way to have that information stored. It's a great place to really say, if I'm sending someone off to a job site that's hours or states or even countries away, I can say, make your changes on your iPad, update them. And when I'm here in the office, I can make those changes or I can do anything else that's there as well. All right, and that's really it for the editing process on both the web version and the iPad. Laura, did we have any other questions before we move on to maybe some basic reporting?
Yes, we have some great questions. Real quick, Sean, can you show us how you zoom in and out of this so that people with eyesight like myself might be able to see it better?
Absolutely. So as I'm hovering with my mouse on the floor plan itself, I'm using the wheel on my mouse to zoom in as much as I need or to zoom out as much as I need. I know I've got a pretty big screen here, so I can go through and I can zoom in. Now you can see that 3 next to 1DR003. But this is as you can zoom in and do your work as needed. You can also, I know one of the tricks as you're looking at maybe a browser like Chrome, if you need to zoom in the page generally, Control and plus on your keyboard should do the trick as well.
Great, thank you. Also, can you, what that one question is there a way to move one picture from one drawing to another?
There's not a way to do this super organically, but this is a photo that you can always download. So as I go through and maybe I wanted to add that picture to my Hanwha camera in the reception instead of my camera in that hallway there, I can always go through, I can download this photo. So if I needed to save this image, I can do so. It's nice and downloaded there. And I can actually attach it to another photo. So if I needed to add an image, I can add one that I just saved.
Okay, and two more quick questions. Can you save the layers separately?
So that's a great question. So whenever you have different floor plans for different things, and this is a use case that we see as well, is instead of having just one floor plan with layering here that you can toggle on and off, and everything lives on the same floor plan. Since there's no cap, and I'm actually going to save this, since there's no cap to the amount of surveys that you can have within a site, what we'll see people do is they'll start with a base survey and they'll make duplicates of it, and they'll have different layers of everything here. So I'll have my first floor survey access control, first floor survey video surveillance, first floor survey detection, anything I need to there. They can have multiple surveys for that, but it's not going to have the same functionality as you would in maybe CAD that has the pages of the same floor plan that are just toggleable.
Okay, and to duplicate a floor plan, you just tap the three buttons.
Yep, absolutely. To duplicate, you hit the three buttons at the bottom, or the three dots here at the bottom right. Duplicate. Oh, I need to actually go through and do that. But you'll just duplicate and it duplicates it for you.
I do see that some people are saying they can't hear now. Can anybody chat in if you can hear us? Sean, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, yes. Okay. People are saying some people can hear, some people can't. Okay, you guys just don't forget we are recording this webinar. So if you can't hear, then we will make sure to get you that recording and maybe you can revisit. Somebody did say a little tidbit of help here is, could you not run a report on each layer?
Yes, so you can run a report on each layer. So when we're talking about the different kinds of reports that you can run, not only do you have that layering feature within the edit, but as you run your reports, such as maybe my bill of materials or my floor plan, I have filtering that I can do within, so I can check and uncheck what I have there as well. So if I only wanted to run a report on the access control that is already in place, I can go through and I can run that versus what's already there, or everything all at once.
Great. This might be a perfect opportunity to run through some of these reports now that we're here.
Absolutely. So as I toggled over to my report tab that you'll see whenever you go through, and I'll show what that path looks like again. And it's having me log in. There we go. Sorry about that. I went offline for just a moment. But let's say, let's go to another survey that I have here, my first floor sample survey. As I click into that survey, it'll default onto the layout tab. When I toggle over to reports, it'll give me a couple of different kinds of reports that I can run here. It'll default to the enhanced reports page where I can run things like my bill of materials, which is going to show me a list of all the different devices that I have on my floor plan, everything else that I've added there that of course I can go through and I can filter, I can name to whatever I need to. I have my photo tour that will show me just a PDF run report of all of my different photos that I have attached, my floor plan with legend, or even my cable pathing report. As I talk about bill of materials, let's go ahead and run one. So I'm going to keep everything checked, and I'm going to just keep that as its name, and I'm going to go ahead and click Create PDF. What you'll notice is that it didn't just automatically start downloading on my page, but I can view all of my reports that I run here under Created Reports. And so you can see that I ran a bill of materials on my first floor sample survey. I can download it, I can preview it here. But this is what that's going to look like. You're going to have your standard first page that will have your logo at the top Ours just has the System Surveyor logo, but you can add your own here. It's going to have the name of the site and the location, the name of the survey, the date, and then it's going to go into that standard BOM of, out of access control. These are the amount of access control devices I have. So I have all of my single doors, my double doors, my card readers, everything tallied there. As every single different thing that you have, whether it's infrastructure, whether it's information technology, or even my different kinds of cameras. You can see it even separates out by make and model as well. So out of my 3 fixed cameras, 2 are the Hanwha Q and V8080Rs. So it'll have those separated out as well. So as you have your manufacturers and your model numbers on there, it'll separate it out on the bill of materials. So this is something that you can very quickly run and export or at any given time. So you can have that there as well. And then under, so not only enhanced reports, but you also have what's called classic reports. We call these classic because these were the first reports that we had run whenever we started this. And under classic reports, I have things that are pretty similar to the enhanced reports that I have. So I've got my filtering here at the top, but I have my different parts of reports that I can run. So I've got my summary pages, my layouts, my totals by element containers, cable pathing, even down to the photo tour, or just a raw dump of element detail. And this is where I like to talk about the different kinds of reports that you can build, where enhanced reports are pre-built and I ran a bill of materials and I can choose one at a time. With my classic reports, I can really build what kind of report I'm wanting to run. So if I want one document with my summary, my layout, my totals by element, and my photo tour, I can choose that and I can export it. I can name it and it'll live under my created reports, just like my enhanced reports did. And this one had quite a few things on it, so it's going to take a moment to go. There we go. And so as I preview it, now it's one document that has my summary, my layout, my totals by element, my totals by element detail. And as we go back down, my photo tour. So all of the different photos that I've taken for that floor plan. So these are the different kinds of reports that you can build within the System Surveyor platform. But with if you have scale, our scale option above, you also get the option of Excel reports. And Excel reports are just that. It's a raw data dump of the information that you need. So for instance, if I wanted all the information on my elements, my critical dates, my cable paths, I can go through, choose elements, and I can export. And from my created reports, download. And it'll give me, and I'll actually download this and open it for you guys here. But it'll give me that Excel file of all of my different elements and all of my different things there that I can see. And it'll separate them out page-wise. So I've got a first page, which has all of my information from all of my different elements. But then I can go into the different elements themselves to say, let's look at my electric lock sets, or let's look at my double doors. I can see the information, and this is all the information that you put under attributes as well. So you can have your export that's here as needed. Perfect. And that is reporting. Laura, was there anything else you wanted me to cover on this side?
Definitely. We had a few questions on how do you add your logo to the report?
Absolutely. So that's going to be done by an admin on your team settings. So as we go back to our home page, let's go back to our page of sites. Here at the top left of the page, you're going to see a user avatar with a blue gear next to it. This is going to be where you're going to click on profile. And as an admin, you can click on account, or it's actually under users here under team. As an admin, you can go through and you can edit your logo. You can also edit your team's name here. So as you had another image, you can click on the user avatar, click on users, and you'll be here where you can go through and you can edit this.
Great, perfect. Thank you. We do have some more questions in regards. Should we just stay here? Did you want to jump back to anything else before we moved on there?
Sure, we can stay here. It's whatever works the best.
Yeah, so we had a question on element profiles and how you create element profiles or even import them.
That's a great question. So element profiles, you can actually, and we'll go in and Laura will talk about this a little later on what manufacturers we already have. But element profiles can be found on the same window under team, right below users, you've got element profile. This is going to show you your list of different elements that you can have profiles for. So under video surveillance, these are all of the elements that live there. But for instance, as I have, let's go to my speaker here. You can see that I have no element profiles here already. If I wanted to add one and I had less than 40 of these already, I can click add profile here. And I can go through and I can add this. I can name it as I would like. But I can also do this in bulk. So as I want to maybe add more than one element profile at a time, I'll click export. And it'll export that. It's a CSV file that's in a very specific format just for this speaker element profile. And it's going to open and it's going to allow you to add that information as you need. Now, as I go through this today, just seeing it once doesn't always do it justice. We have plenty of videos on our help center on how to get this started. We also have a webinar that we have recorded as well that goes in depth over element profiles. So I'm going to go ahead and click enable editing here. You're also going to have instructions here on this PowerPoint, not this PowerPoint, but this Excel sheet. So you ever get lost, you can always refer to this as well. But for instance, you're going to notice these are something that is very similar. So you've got your name, installation, functional, maintenance, configuration, accessories. These are going to be the different tabs that live in that attributes window. And these are the fields that live within them that would have those blue stars. So I can go through and I can start with column E and then column F, column G, and just go down and name these element profiles and type in the information that's available there. And once I've done all that and I've saved that element profile export, I can go through and right next to where I clicked export, I can click import and just choose that file. One thing I will say about the element profile exports is treat those as living documents. So even if you do one run of maybe an element profile for fixed cameras and later on you want to add more, you wouldn't work with a blank Excel sheet and re-import that. Treat it as a living document. So I would just export what I already have. That's going to show my list of all the element profiles I have already, and I just add to the end of it. So maybe as I've added my own and then I go to our manufacturer webpage and I download maybe Hanwha's catalog, I wouldn't just want to import Hanwha's because it'll overwrite what I already had. You would just add Hanwha's or add yours to the end of Hanwha's. So it's a living document there.
Great, thank you. While we're here, or I guess in the next slide, but can you layer, sorry, that was actually the wrong question. Where'd it go? Are you able to add notes like expiration dates to devices, like camera was installed on 3/1 and within X amount of time, notify users of upcoming expiration?
So that's a great question, and that's a great use case there. So let's go into my survey that I have a camera. We have something very similar, and it's under the attributes, there is a tab called maintenance, where I can track when that was installed. So for instance, let's go into my attributes of this camera here. Under maintenance, I have my installation date, my maintenance frequency. There's not an alert that exists right now to let you know that it's coming up on its date, but you can run what's called a critical dates report that lives under enhanced and under Excel as well. That'll show you all of the critical dates here. So for instance, if this is a quarterly maintenance frequency for my installation, I can run a report that shows, based on quarterly from this date, these are the ones that are coming up, or these are all of the dates for all of these devices. And I can also track things like my last inspection date, last inspection performed by, and then under every single tab here, you've got a notes field that you can track. Another thing I very frequently see, and I'll also recommend, is as changes are made or as any notes on this device, just general notes need to be done, you can also track them under the activity log on any element. So if I'm going in and I wanted to say log comments, checked on this camera, there was a crack that was replaced on lens. I can track that, and on the activity log, you'll see who made that comment, what the comment was, and when it was made. So this is a great way of tracking those kind of internal notes and comments as well.
Great. Can you walk through delivering a quote after making a security plan?
So walk through giving a quote. So that comes into play on several different things. You'll notice even here at the top of my my Hanwha element here, I've got an estimated budget range. So as I type in my price here, and I've got my installation hours, that all goes into your hours, installation hours that you have there that you've built in your individual settings. But as I have this all tallied, that would be done in reports. And I'm going to go ahead and save this here. But as I go into my reports, I have things that are already priced and everything that's out there. I can go through and I can run a classic report, and I can have my summary page. And my summary page will show the, if you add that to your floor plan. I actually did that on my last report that I created. Oh, it was on a different survey. So I'll go ahead and run another one here. So as I have my summary page, as I have my layout and everything, you can build it to as you'd like. And as you export it, it's going to show that summary of the estimated budget range. So if you wanted to have this very exact, I've got mine in a rolling range. So I have my minimum and maximum that can all be set under settings as an admin. When you go into profile and then budget estimator at the bottom of the page above settings. I can give my min max budget range, whether I want it to be 20%. I can set my standard labor rate per hour, and you'll see how it works here as well.
Great. Okay. Was asked about adding notes to drawings.
Yes. So adding notes to drawings would be done using our annotation tool. So as I go back into this survey here, if I needed to add a very quick snippet of information, maybe next to this camera or in this hallway, I can use our annotation tool, which lives at the top right of this edit screen. And I can click on the A to drag open a text box on the floor plan to say, secured hallway. And so as I have that, and I'll go back and let's draw a box here. I can have that note that's available there. I didn't choose a different color, so it defaulted to red, but you can have this in whatever color that you need. So as maybe I need to move this, I can move it wherever I need to, or this is a secured hallway maybe. I can go through and I can do that, and I can add my notes to my floor plan.
Great. And you can draw boxes, circles. Okay. Can you also quickly show us quick start feature and how to create a quick floor plan?
Absolutely. So that's going to be along the same lines of our annotation tool. So let's go back out to my survey overview. I'm not going to save that. But we'll go in and we'll start a new survey here. We'll choose quick start. And instead of going through a whole scaling and cropping, there's nothing to scale and crop. It'll take me straight to a blank edit screen with no floor plan. Now this is where I can go through with my annotation tool, and I can draw boxes. So if this is the building here, I just kept it on red. But if I wanted to, I can change it to another color here. And let's choose another box. And let's say this is going to be one room here. This is another room here. I can create whatever I need to here, or maybe this is the reception desk. I can add that as well. And as I draw my annotations and I do what I need to there, and I can add text boxes in there as well, I can go through and I can start dragging and dropping icons on there. So if I wanted, this camera to overlook my reception area, I can go through and do the same thing. Now, the one thing that you're going to have to do here that's a little extra of a step is you'll notice that it has no scale. So it defaults to a standard scale in our site that says this is maybe 352 feet. Don't worry about that. If you want to set another scale, I would set, you can have placeholder icons. So if I wanted to drag a placeholder like a node from here to here in the office, and I knew there were landmarks there, I can go through and I can reset scale. It'll go through and it'll ask me to set the scale between two things. The only thing that gets difficult here is there's nothing to really reference. So if you're using quick start, I would recommend using that without the scale to begin with. And let's say you have a floor plan that's added on after that, you can always go through and replace the floor plan. Let's say later on you got that floor plan from the client and you were just waiting on it. You can click on replace floor plan. It'll allow you to choose from your file folder to say, great, now I can start with this page and I can crop it and I can scale it, and it'll drag and drop whatever you need to on there. So as I scale, and I'm just going to give this a very basic 15 feet maybe. It'll do that. Now I need to rescale my camera. So if I wanted to, let's make this 12 feet. That's a bit more manageable. I can have that, and I just need to get rid of the annotations. And I can click on them, and I can click the garbage can and get rid of those annotations that I created before. And now I have icons that I can now drag and drop around this floor plan as I need.
Wonderful. Okay, well, why don't we, on these last few questions, let's hop back to the PowerPoint for a minute. And any other questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A icon as we walk through some last minute things. Sean, does System Surveyor work with Samsung tablets?
Absolutely. It does work with those Android tablets. It's not just Samsung, but other brands such as LG or a certain Lenovo Android tablets. We do have an article on our help center that gives you minimum specs. So it has to have a certain Android OS and higher, and have certain RAM functionality, but you'll find those on our website as well.
Great. Okay. And if you want to, I'm going to launch a quick poll. Your information is greatly appreciated, especially on question number 2. We are kind of starting a new Community Connect webinar. We just wanted to, we value your opinions on if you guys would participate on it. It's with some breakout groups where you can talk to others in the community and get some ideas or discuss other options or even sharing element profiles that you've created. And with that, Sean, if you want to hop over to the next slide. We do have our Learning Center here, and as Sean had said, we do have our Help Center and support frequently asked questions where you can find some other great valuable information. I'm looking for the last question someone was asking about. Another one. Oh, Sean, is System Surveyor on a ThinkPad Yoga or only iOS?
So I'm not familiar with the ThinkPad Yoga. If it's a device that has Android OS, so an Android operating system, or the iPad OS, you can use the System Surveyor app. Any other device would just be using the browser. The one thing I will note here is that if it's just using the browser and not the app, there is no offline capabilities.
Got it. Okay, thank you. As we had discussed about our element profiles earlier in creating your own, we also have manufacturer partners. You see Hanwha, ProDataKey, Allied Telesis, IC Realtime, Hikvision, SensaGuard, Ricotta, and our newest addition, Digital Watchdog. If you go to our partners page and click on any of these logos, it'll take you to their element profiles, which you can quickly import into System Surveyor, and then they'll all be in your drop-down menus there. We do have some more teed up. I think Turing is coming on in just about a week, and we'll have Turing's element profile shortly. And Sean, next page, I believe. And you can take this one.
Yes, absolutely. So as there are any questions, or you guys have any comments or recommendations for System Surveyor, let us know. We're always happy to hear from you. You can contact myself directly as a customer success specialist at spetty@systemsurveyor.com. You can also reach our support team, which fantastic team, very friendly people. You can find them at support@systemsurveyor.com. If you ever wanted to schedule a demo with System Surveyor, you want to learn a little bit more about it, you can email us at info@systemsurveyor.com. And another thing I'll point out is at the bottom right of every screen within the System Surveyor platform, there's also a chat bubble that lives there. So if you ever wanted to reach out to our team that way and get a response really quickly, you can chat out to us as well.
Correct. And we did have a question on, is System Surveyor easy to integrate with other applications? That is a very good question.
Yes, that's a great question. And our API is still young, I would like to say. So we'd need to have a conversation offline about it. But, I wouldn't see, depending on what's there.
Right. We'd love to get more information on what you're looking to integrate with, because it is on our roadmap and we're hoping to have some great things headed your way in 2022. And with that, I think you guys had some great questions today. We really appreciate the participation. And as I said before, we are recording this webinar. Look for the email from me, usually by the end of the day, and you can rewatch in your own time or share with a colleague. And Sean, I'll turn it over to you. Appreciate your help, Sean. Great webinar as always.
Absolutely. Thank you, everybody who joined today. Again, feel free to reach out to us if you have any other questions. And I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week and a great start to the new year. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.